October 19th, 1982. A man walks into a hotel room near Los Angeles International Airport. Inside, a suitcase filled with 55 pounds of cocaine, worth $24 million. He opens it, looks at the white powder, and says, "It's better than gold." FBI agents storm in. "John, you're under arrest." But here's the crazy part. This wasn't a drug dealer. This was John DeLorean, the youngest division head in General Motors history, creator of the Pontiac GTO, designer of the Firebird, the man who was supposed to become president of GM. And he just threw it all away for a bag of cocaine. Or did he? This is the story of the most tragic fall from grace in automotive history. A genius engineer, a corporate rebel, a dreamer who bet everything on a stainless steel car with gullwing doors. So how did the golden boy of General Motors end up in handcuffs, facing 67 years in prison? The son of a Romanian immigrant mill worker who struggled with alcoholism. His parents divorced when he was young. His father fell into addiction. Young John learned early that he had to create his own path. And he did with brilliance. He studied engineering at Lawrence Institute of Technology, worked for Chrysler, then Packard, where he revolutionized their automatic transmission. But in 1956, DeLorean got the call that would change his life. General Motors wanted him. By 1965, at just 40 years old, DeLorean became head of the Pontiac division, the youngest division chief in GM history. He didn't just break records, he shattered them. He created the Pontiac GTO, America's first muscle car. Sales tripled. Pontiac shot from 6th place to 3rd in the entire industry. Then came the Firebird in 1967. The Grand Prix in 1969. Every car he touched turned to gold. In 1969, GM promoted him to head Chevrolet, their flagship brand, the biggest division in the company. DeLorean was earning $200,000 a year, plus $400,000 in bonuses. He was a celebrity. Dating models, buying stakes in the San Diego Chargers and New York Yankees. He wore long sideburns, unbuttoned shirts, drove sports cars. At a time when executives wore three-piece suits and kept quiet, DeLorean was a rock star in a world of accountants. And everyone knew it. He was being groomed to become president of General Motors. But then something happened that nobody expected. DeLorean walked away. In 1973, at the peak of his career, John DeLorean quit GM. He had a vision, a dream that he couldn't build inside the corporate machine. He wanted to create his own car, the perfect sports car. Ethical, safe, futuristic, the DMC. 1, 2. Stainless steel body, gullwing doors that opened upward like a spaceship, rear-mounted engine. A car from the future. DeLorean convinced the British government to invest $84 million to build a factory in Belfast, Northern Ireland, a troubled region desperate for jobs. He raised millions more from American investors, celebrities, dealers, people who believed in the dream. Production was supposed to start in 1979, but delays hit. Quality problems, engineering challenges, the DMC 1, 2 didn't reach consumers until January 1981, nearly a decade after the company was founded. And when it finally arrived, the reviews were brutal. The DeLorean DMC 1, 2 cost $25,000. A Corvette cost $18,000. The average car, $10,000. And the DeLorean was slower than both. It looked futuristic, but it performed like a disappointment. Critics said the styling didn't compensate for the high price and low horsepower. Quality control was terrible. By February 1982, more than half of the 7,000 DeLoreans produced remained unsold. The company was $175 million in debt. The Belfast factory was placed in receivership. DeLorean needed cash, millions, or everything would collapse. That's when James Timothy Hoffman entered his life. Hoffman was a neighbor, a friend, someone DeLorean trusted. But Hoffman had a secret. He was a convicted drug smuggler, and he was working as an FBI informant to reduce his own prison sentence. In July 1982, Hoffman approached DeLorean with an opportunity. "I know people who can help save your company," Hoffman said. "Investors with cash. Lots of it." DeLorean was desperate. He listened, but the investors Hoffman introduced weren't investors at all. They were undercover FBI and DEA agents. And the money? It came from cocaine, 220 pounds of it. Worth $24 million, the FBI claimed DeLorean agreed to finance the cocaine deal, to use the profits to save his company. DeLorean's lawyers argued he was entrapped, that Hoffman and the FBI manipulated a desperate man who had no prior criminal record, that they created a crime that wouldn't have existed without their involvement. For months, the meetings continued. Recorded. Videotaped, the FBI was building their case. On October 19, 1982, DeLorean walked into room 501 of the Sheraton Plaza Hotel near LAX. The cocaine was there. In a suitcase, 55 pounds of it. DeLorean opened it, looked at it, and said, "It's better than gold." Then, FBI agents Benedict Teeser and Jerry West burst in. "John, I'm Jerry West from the FBI. You're under arrest for narcotic smuggling violations." The cameras captured everything. That same day, hours before DeLorean's arrest, the British government announced it would shut down the Belfast factory. The DMC was dead, and DeLorean was facing 67 years in federal prison. The tapes were released to the public in October 1983. National television, everyone saw it. John DeLorean opening the suitcase, inspecting cocaine, lifting a champagne glass, toasting a lot of success for everyone. His career was over, his reputation destroyed, his life in ruins. The trial began in April 1984. For 5 months, the trial dominated headlines. The prosecution had videotapes, witnesses, FBI agents, but DeLorean's defense team had something more powerful. The truth about entrapment, they proved Hoffman approached DeLorean, not the other way around. That the FBI knew DeLorean was desperate, that they manufactured a crime to trap him. DeLorean had no prior criminal history, no connections to drugs, nothing. On August 16, 1984, after 29 hours of deliberation, the jury returned not guilty. On all 8 counts, DeLorean was free, but the victory was hollow. The DMC 1-2 was finished. 2,500 jobs lost, over $100 million in investments gone. DeLorean spent the next 2 decades fighting lawsuits. In 1999, at 74 years old, he declared bankruptcy. On March 19, 2005, John DeLorean died of a stroke at 80. By then, he was largely forgotten. But there's one final twist. In 1985, Back to the Future was released. The time machine? A DeLorean DMC. 1-2, the car that destroyed DeLorean's life, became his immortality. Today, DMC-12s are collector's items, worth more now than when they were new. So here's what you need to understand about John DeLorean. He wasn't a drug dealer, he was a desperate man who made a catastrophic mistake. He was a genius who built the GTO, a visionary who created the Firebird, a rebel who walked away from power to chase a dream. But he was also reckless, arrogant, blinded by his own ambition. DeLorean believed he could do anything, that rules didn't apply to him, that he could outrun his problems, and when the walls closed in, when the money ran out, when everything was falling apart, he made the worst decision of his life. He said yes to James Hoffman. The FBI said he was guilty. The jury said he was entrapped. The truth? Probably somewhere in between. But here's what's undeniable. John DeLorean had everything talent, success, fame, money, power, and he destroyed it all. Not because he wasn't brilliant, but because brilliance without judgment is just arrogance. Today, when you see a DeLorean, remember this: that car isn't just a symbol of 1980s excess. It's a reminder of what happens when ambition exceeds wisdom. John DeLorean proved something tragic. You can be the smartest person in the room. You can revolutionize an industry. You can create icons. But if you lose sight of reality, if you believe your own hype, if you think the rules don't apply to you, you can lose everything. And unlike the DeLorean, which found redemption through Hollywood, DeLorean himself never got that second act. He died broke, forgotten, a legend turned into a warning. That's not just tragic, that's the price of hubris. If this story shocked you, hit subscribe and the bell icon so you never miss another rise and fall story from automotive history. Drop a comment. Do you think DeLorean was guilty or entrapped? Thanks for watching.